We're back for session 6 with Ash Harrison, and today we're going to talk about something you've put a lot of effort into. And that is Scarface. It should explain to our viewers what the Scarface Morgan dollar is.
Okay. My favorite date of Morgan dollars, 1888. They must have had more problems with that group of dies than anything, but there are some great varieties in 1888 from New Orleans, and the Scarface is certainly one. The Scarface is really got its name from the fact that a die pair started breaking from the about 10 o'clock on the obverse, and it broke across the field in front of Liberty's face, and then continued and broke right across her cheek and down into her neck. And it created what we so lovingly call the Scarface. And for quite a number of years, people looked for this coin, and in the late die stage, and back in about somewhere in the early 90s, Jeff Oxman had an entire roll of the very late die stage Scarface, and he made, I guess he was one of the ones that pretty much got this one to its name and claim to fame. But I think he sold those coins for $100 a piece. Today, the late die stage of the Scarface is in mint state 62 is around $4,000 to $5,000. This is 2023. In 63, it's between $5,000 and $8,000, and in 64, it runs $10,000 to $15,000. Now, couple things about the Scarface. You can find this coin in every stage of that crack. That crack did not start all the way across. It didn't have one strike and bam, it broke all the way over here to the neck. In fact, it terminates right down here in this hair curl. But this crack that goes along through the cheek here, and there is a little cud there on her nose, and then it breaks here and it comes out across there, but it also cracks vertically up out of her nose. That's the final stage of the Scarface, what we, as the VAM guys, call the terminal die state. And that's what everybody's looking for when we talk about Scarface. Now, when you go look at the holders that exist out there, you will find that they actually will put some earlier stages into a holder. And as long as that crack goes across the cheek, they will put it into the holder called Scarface. But please know that the ones that are the latest stage are the most valuable. That's interesting to know. It's important to know because a lot of people, as long as it has that stage, as long as it has that scar across the cheek, they will sell it for all the money. But you really are doing yourself a disservice to pay the top dollar for like a mint state 64 that's only a stage, what we call 8. Now, how did they get this staging? Well, I don't know what year it was, but in the early 2000s, I wrote a white paper, and I listed them, I studied them, I must have gone through hundreds of coins, and I put them into logical progression and, discrete a way to tell what stage you have. And I'm going to do the best I can at kind of labeling those out so you can know what these stages are. But if we start at 10 and work backwards, the H10 will have the break all the way to the hair. And I guess probably the best thing to do, I'll scroll this document, and it has this marker right here on the nose. That is stage 10. And now to go to stage 9, you lose the marker on the nose. It's no longer got a little cud there on the nose, and it still goes all the way down here right to the hair. and it's fully broken all the way across the coin, of course. This crack will back up across the coin as we go forward in here. The next, stage 8, this is, as a rule, the earliest stage that PCGS or NGC will put into a holder marked Scarface. The break goes all the way down in stage 8, just below the jaw, just above the jawline. If it passes that jawline there, it becomes stage 9. But if it comes down here below the level of the mouth, down to here, this is stage 8. Anywhere where it terminates between those areas. And then before that is stage 7. And stage 7 is very, very difficult to see. The break goes all the way over to the nose, but it cracks right up here by the side of the nose and down along by the actual nose, and it terminates about right here. It's pretty much just cracked into there, and then of course this break out here. This is probably the rarest of all of the stages.
Let's show somebody like the coin that you have.
Okay.
People like to see the image, but let's see the coin, one of the coins.
All right, so here is the stage 10. Do you want to hold it up there?
I'll hold it up here for them.
Stage 10, that's a mint state 62. By the way, Scarface occurred in a die pair that evidently never really made it into circulation. The dollars were probably in a bag or two that were stored in the mint, in the branch mint in New Orleans, and in the Treasury sale, I guess in the 60s, they must have come out and were discovered, because there literally are only a handful of circulated Scarfaces out there. If you find a circulated Scarface, it was either put into circulation in the 60s or somebody circulated it on purpose. So that's the stage 10. We'll back up and look at stage 8 if you'd like to. This is a nicely toned version. It's actually a mint state 63. However, that coin to me is not worth as much as the stage 10 would be in 63. That I would consider that coin to be worth a couple $1,000s less. It might be an $8,000 coin in 63 normal, but this might be a $6,000 coin. The toning might add something to it, because this is quite a pretty version of the Scarface. Okay, so backing up, the 7 has the crack by the nose, and it's very, very difficult to see. It's one of those things that actually a micro photograph is easier to see the crack than holding it with a loop. It takes a little while to find it. Now, prior to this stage 7, the break does not pass the tip of the nose boundary. Stage 6 is kind of delineated. Oh, that's stage 7. That one is 7.5. You've got
7.
7. This one says 7 as well. 7 late die stage. So that's kind of the later 7. I have so many of these that I've kind of got middle stages and early stages.
What is the H is?
Harrison.
Okay.
Yeah, and you may see this. Annex has that on their labels. If you buy a stage of the Scarface, they have the earlier stages named just like these are. They've adopted that.
How many coins did you have to look at to come up with your own progression?
Hundreds, hundreds if not more. Bags for sure. And it's interesting, the couple of bags that I've seen that have Scarface varieties in them, I've seen 2. They have both Scarface, early die state Scarfaces, and late die state VAM 1A. VAM 1A has a clash that's really strong, and the E of Liberty is clashed to the reverse of that coin. and it's got a big die break on the front as well that is easy to pick up. But both of those pretty cool varieties were in bags, and you can find them by the roll. You may find a whole roll of those E-clashes. They typically are mint state 62 or lower. None of these coins were struck really well, mainly because the die was broken. You can't get great pressure if you've got a broken die. So going back to the stage 6. Stage 6 simply terminates right to the nose, and that it has all these breaks, and there's some cracks down along here that happen. This isn't just a single continuous scratch across the face. It's a series of scratches across the face. It looks like one, but it's actually about 4. Stage 5. It terminates out here in front of the face, but as you can see, this one shows better the crack, the crack, and the crack. That one has like one through the dot, then down in here, then down in here, down in here, and it comes up short of the nose. That's how you get the H5.
So it's getting pretty hard to find these the further back you go.
It's actually more common. The farther back you go in this progression, the more of them you see. If you were to go hunt through 88Os, you will find this coin. If you look hard enough, you will find it. And you can find these early, we call these the early die state Scarfaces. A lot of times you'll see them listed as VAM 1B.
Do they carry a premium over common dates?
Absolutely. The early ones, the ones from stage H2, which is the one that's just got this crack just through the dot, through H5, are between $100 and $200 in most of the normal available grades. If you found one in 64, it'd probably be $300 or $400 because that's probably the highest grade known. But yes, it's available. There are a few of them out there that were a mistake by PCGS, where they actually printed the word Scarface on the holder. I have most of those in my possession because they did it for me, and when I did this progression, and a couple of them made it out into the real world, and well, needless to say, some people have abused that by selling them for really insane prices. As if it was a normal Scarface. It is not. It has VAM 1B Scarface on it, but it'll say EDS. If you go back over here, let's see if I've got any of these Scarface EDS. I think I've replaced them all by better condition ones out there somewhere. Oh, I had them take them off. I'm sorry. I gave permission to PCGS to remove the word Scarface when I got my pedigree put on them. I did that as a favor to them so that I wouldn't let any more of those out into the world. That's why a couple of them have made it out there, and there were a complete set of them, but as a favor to them, I let them remove that word, except for the stage 8 and later. Okay, backing up, we'll do this fairly quickly. Stage 4, it ends out here. There's not the last break there. Stage 3 is just 3 lines, 1, 2, 3. Stage 2 is just through the dot and 1 line. And stage 1 comes up to the dot. Now, important point about stage 1. Stage 1 does not, in stage 2, the denticle up here, but that this crack emanates from, has a break in it. And if you look at it, the die is actually broken between those two denticles. On the stage 1, the die is not broken between the two denticles. That is how you can tell stage 1 from stage 2. With except, it doesn't have the line out here, but if it's got the break in there, it's stage 2. It's just an early stage 2 if it doesn't have a crack out there.
So our viewers should be looking if they have 1880 O more dollar, they should take a look for that crack.
You should look for that crack. Now, there's even more. Wait, there's more. When I wrote this tutorial, this was all we knew. We had never found anything that did not have the crack. But subsequent to the writing of that white paper, we did find earlier stages of the Scarface. And Russ James helped in a great way in my getting these. But we had to come up with something. So the first thing we found was stage 0. And stage 0 has no crack at all. But one thing that is really interesting about this coin is the reason this coin broke the way it did, right to the center and through the coin, is because the coin clashed. When the dies clashed together, it started the crack, it started the break, and it weakened the dies. And on the reverse of the coin, you can clearly see some lines in the eagle's neck, and I'll show you those if I can find it. It's on the end right here. This enormous thing that hangs down like a, I don't know, like a gobbler on the eagle is a clash mark, and that is a big indicator of a traumatic event that occurred with the dies. The dies came together without a coin in them, causing what we know as a clash, and it imparts part of the reverse design onto the obverse of the coin and vice versa. All Scarfaces have this clash mark. In the later stages, it gets weak, but in the earlier stages, it's very, very strong. On the stage 0, it's extremely strong. On the stage, and there's a gouge that runs between the wing and down through America, and it's really strong on the 0 stage. They polished the coin after that, and then we found yet another stage, the 0.5 stage, that has been polished on the reverse, and it weakens this clash and that die gouge that goes down through the reverse. That is probably 10 times more than you ever wanted to know about a Scarface, but that really sums it up as to what we know today about Scarface and the progression and the history of how they became H1 through 10 varieties, and it's kind of my legacy to coins, I guess.
Well, thank you very much, Ash. We're going to go ahead and take a break here. Remember to please like and subscribe so you'll be notified when we post more videos. Have a good day.